Hey everybody, welcome to an episode of Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Leah. Hi, Leah.
Hi.
And Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
And Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Becky.
So we are back with our new book club style discussions tonight. Tonight we are discussing A Taste of Whiskey by Melissa Foster. In our new format, we're going to dive in, like I said, book club's discussion style. We will spoil this book. So if you haven't read this book, you might want to pause, go read it and come back, or skip to the end where you can hear whether or not we're going to give it our thumbs up or our thumbs down. And for this episode, Leah is going to lead our discussion.
Yay.
Yay, Leah's the boss.
Okay, so stick with us for the next little while as we break down the enchanting details of A Taste of Whiskey by Melissa Foster. So a little bit of things to know before we start. So the release date on this one was April 10th, 2024. The tropes are single dad, small town, spin-off, hidden romance, friends to lovers, childhood crush. There are some MC elements that go into it, but it's not like hardcore. The series name is Dark Nights at Redemption Ranch. This is book 4 of the series. It is a series of standalones, so you can hop into this one without reading the other ones. It is dual point of view. It's not dual first person, though. It's like dual third person multi. And the put out percentage is 43%. And if you do the audio, I did not do the audio on this one, but it's Aiden Snow and Savannah Peachwood. And if you've ever listened to the two of them, the audio is probably fantastic.
I didn't listen to the audio either because the audio is available in weird places. A lot of her audio is on Kobo Plus, but this one wasn't. It's on her website and it's on Audible.
I wonder if she is going to release it to Kobo Plus after it's been out for a little bit, because I think book 3 technically is Kobo Plus.
All the previous books are Kobo Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if she does like a so many days before she drops it over there.
Maybe.
Well, the fact that it's on her website and also on Audible, it can't be Audible exclusive. You know how there's like that 90-day Audible exclusive? If you sell on your website, you don't get those percentages. Anyway.
But the book itself is everywhere.
And the ebook is in Kobo Plus.
Okay, so let's talk Sasha, Ezra, and we have to mention Gus. So Gus, let's talk about Gus first, because Gus is the most adorable, like precocious, like sweetest little boy in a book that I've read for a while.
He's adorable.
Yeah, he really kind of makes the book. He is the humor in this book. I love that he calls her Sugar. Like he's some kind of big,
like he's this like big boy, like big man who can like nickname whoever he wants.
His nickname is better than his dad's nickname for her. I'm just gonna say that now.
What's the dad's nickname for her?
Calls her Bo Peep.
Bo Peep. Oh, that's right.
And I don't like it.
I didn't love that either. But Sugar works.
The Sugar is amazing.
They're just so stinking cute, and he's such a big part of the book. And that's one thing I think Melissa Foster does well. Like when she has kids in a book, like they're really big, like they're not the star of the show, but they are a huge part of the story.
I would say he's like the glue, kind of.
He's a plot point, to be honest. I mean, he's kind of part of the outside conflict.
Yes.
For a lot of this, I mean, not the child himself, but the fact that Ezra is a single dad, and there's these hang-ups with the ex, which...
But
she's
also, too, she is a trash human, but also, too, like, the nature of Gus's conception and, like, the whole situation revolving around his birth, like, it kind of affected, like, the nature of, like, Sasha and Ezra's relationship from the get-go, because as he made the choice to kind of move forward, like he found out the trash human was pregnant.
Yeah. You should not get pregnant for a baby. Or pregnant for a baby. You should not get married for a baby.
Yeah.
No.
I
Yeah.
will say this is a theme that we often see with Melissa Foster, and I wish she would do better. I think in
Mm-hmm.
most single dad romances that we read from her, the baby mama is not a good human.
Well, so funny thing, I was thinking back to like all her single parent books, like the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. The parent is either dead or terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no,
Like
like
there's
there's
one
not
note.
a, yeah, like there's no easy co-parenting. Like, and I feel like I want different, like if she does another single parent, but that's the thing, like, because I can think of two off the top of my head where the parent is dead. Like one, it was a good relationship. One, it was a one night stand and it's a secret baby. But at the same time, like we don't know what that person is like because they're not around. And so it's very like frustrating that that's the direction she always goes when it comes to a single parent.
Yeah.
So Ezra himself, like Ezra works on Redemption Ranch. He is one of the psychologists because it is basically a ranch of psychologists who help at-risk teens, like people who are going through like PTSD, all those things. Like they really focus hard on all like the mental health, but the differing ways of going through therapy. They have a slew of different styles of therapy on this ranch, which I love that whole premise.
Yeah, it's really well done. I love that they have the animal therapy and then they also have the therapists and then, just
Mhm.
letting kids kind of work on the ranch as well. Like I think it's really well done. And she usually hits a different aspect of it so far in every book, I think, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has.
Yeah, because each character kind of has a different focus on what they do at the ranch. And Ezra is one that like he meets with people. Like Dare like was big on like the
Yeah.
work and like talk as they work type of thing.
And then Sasha's with the horses. So
Hmm.
I do like the dynamic of the ranch itself.
Hmm.
That Ezra is just kind of one piece in this multi-layered system, and there's a lot of great characters and pieces, and I really like that they come together for meals. Like, this is absolutely found family vibes in this book
Yeah.
because everybody
Yeah.
belongs, blood relation or not. And I did enjoy that. I think some of the funniest banter happens around the table.
In the meal times, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like they really focus on that togetherness and the welcoming aspect of it doesn't matter who you are or where you've come from, like there is a seat for you at my table.
Yeah.
But so Ezra himself, he's pined. He's a little piner. But he was a troubled kid. Like he acted out. Like he went to Redemption Ranch like as a teenager to kind of work through some of his own issues. And that's where he met the Whiskeys and like created the relationship like he has with them as a whole.
Do you think that that's a little bit of a character? I don't want to say a plot hole, but a character flaw. Like, here he is, this therapist, but he hasn't even really resolved the
That mommy.
parent issues, like with his dad. Like, he doesn't really, he's not a great communicator. Um, like, I felt like there was a lot of inconsistencies in his character through the book. He's very single minded.
I think he's single-minded, but I think at the same time, like that it goes to show that just because a therapist is a therapist does not mean they don't have their own
Yeah,
hang-ups.
they got their own.
Like
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
help you, but they may not be able to help themselves because like they're looking at your relationships and your issues from a vastly different perspective than their own. So I think it gives actually a more human aspect to the therapist side of it.
Yeah. And I also felt like his dad was a big part of that problem more so than he was. Like I feel like he reached out to his dad several times, but his dad just wasn't,
Receptive.
reciprocating it. So
Mhm. Yeah, because like there were lots of times like and I mean not lots of times, but a few times in the book, he's like, "Do you want to go like out to dinner?" And it was like, "Well, if Gus is there, I can take Gus." Like there was no like trying to build the relationship with him. Like in like answer to that. It was always like revolving around Gus, which I think is great, but at the same time, you have to create that relationship with your child, not just your grandchild.
Well, and her parents were the exact opposite.
Right.
Like, they're in your business.
Like
Yeah.
Like,
they
every.
Well,
probably know way more about your business than you want them to.
I mean, he has eyes everywhere.
I did love that line when she's like, your
Yeah.
daddy knows where you are
Yeah.
All the time.
all the time.
Well, and it's like definitely like foretelling like to the towards the end of the book. And it's like, but also, how did you not realize that like he knows everything? Like,
Right?
You're not as sneaky as you think you are.
I think that was like through this whole book, though, don't you? That like they thought they were getting away with something, but they weren't. Like, even the way Melissa writes it and writes all the different people coming in and out of the story, you mean to tell me that like 17 people can keep their mouth shut about
Right.
gossiping about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
17 people
100%.
that like
You
interact on a daily.
100% know that they are gossiping amongst themselves, but just like it's one of those things where Ezra or Sasha walk into the room and they change the subject. Like 1000%.
There's a separate group chat happening without them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So since like we haven't talked about Sasha, let's talk about Sasha. So Sasha is one of the horse like therapists. Like she works with like the horses themselves, and like rehabs the horses, which I think is an interesting element to the ranch as well.
Yeah, I liked her character,
Mm.
but I don't know what kind of character she is.
Hmm.
Because she's not
Yeah.
overly strong. Like, she isn't pursuing, she's not like femme fatale, right? Like, she's not out there
No.
pursuing him. She tries a couple times. I mean, her sister is Birdie is more of the like
Oh,
femme
yeah.
fatale in
Right.
that group.
Birdie's gonna be a ride when we get her book.
But she's not like a damsel in distress either.
Well, she's almost more like this cautious level. But I feel like, though, if it came to Gus, like she would mama bear the shit out of somebody
100%.
because
Yeah, I just don't
she,
think we got to see her in enough of a dynamic like situation to
Yeah.
maybe put her character front facing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
But I-
she's kind of like the girl next door in that like she's wholesome.
hmm
She can rebel when she wants to, but for the most part she's a rule follower.
But then I wonder too, like if you look at it and you look at her siblings, like Dare rocked the boat every moment he could. Birdie seems like one who she rocks the boat in a totally different way. Like it's almost like Melissa Foster decided, like, I need one rule
Normal.
follower.
I will
Yeah,
say, like,
maybe.
Because we don't really know a lot about Doc either, but he seems to rock the boat a little bit as well.
Yeah, he's the one the rule was made for. So
Right.
It's the one the rule was
Right.
made for. So I feel like this is her. You have to have one good kid.
one good kid. I will say,
It's
though,
True.
like, there was that spice, like, in the beginning of the book with the bull riding scene.
Hmm.
Like, that was really dynamic. And she, like, flirting with the torch.
flame.
The
Torch, flame, same
the
difference.
guy that's
Flame.
on fire that's a fireman. Like, when they're in the bar and she's flirting with him, I was like, you go, girl. And then she's like riding that bull.
Mhm.
And there are moments later on in the book, like the work trip and stuff like that, where I
Mhm.
would have liked to have seen some of that spice. A little
Yeah.
bit of seduction.
Yeah.
Because, like you said before, there was all this mutual pining.
Yeah. Well, but I think at the same time, like in those couple moments in the book where she tried the seduction, she epically failed. And so she's like, maybe this doesn't work for me.
That's true. That's true.
Because as Birdie says, just go and kiss him and see what happens. And so she tries. And it does not work out in her favor.
It doesn't. I mean, to be honest, though, as much mutual pining as that was going on, don't you think their relationship was kind of awkward? Because to be honest, Gus had more moves than the two of them together. Like he got the cheese danishes made for her and
Mm-hmm.
he could wink.
I think the issue is Ezra was just so almost stunted in his like love languages that like he didn't know how to show her how he cared, and that was part of where the awkwardness comes in, because like he had all of those hangups with his like parents and then the crappy ex and just being like a troublesome teen for a while, and so he just wasn't sure how to like he didn't know his love language aside from using Gus as like a sounding
Well, I
board
mean,
almost.
he was pretty good at like having her favorite snacks and
Mm-hmm.
taking care of her, like when it's raining and she's bringing in the horse and he like takes care of her afterwards. Um, so yeah, his love language isn't like maybe.
Like there's not a like strict like line for him in the love language. It's just like taking care of her in ways that she didn't realize he was taking care of her.
She just perceives as friendship,
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is, I think, maybe where the confusion comes in because it's a lot of the things he does are things that a friend would do for someone else, and they've been in each other's life for so long, it almost kind of gets lost in the
Mm-hmm.
romance part, maybe.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I
my
think
hang up
so.
with friends to lovers sometimes too. That
Well,
That's fair.
it's muddied. Like the waters are muddied. Like there's no like the things that they used to do are things that they're still going to do, but there's just this added elements of like the benefits that go along
Becky
with
wants
it.
them to up their game.
right.
She
Well, there's
does.
this pining and like it's long and it's saturated and at times it felt a little mundane. Like Amanda said, like it's the same when they're friends now that they're lovers. And
Mhm.
like seriously, just rip his clothes off. Like when he was hula hooping, like I would have
Oh yeah.
loved
Oh,
some
yeah.
internal
Oh, that
bubbles,
was a good scene.
but I would have
Yeah.
loved more internal bubbles, like her, like with her desire and like, damn, man can move, like just a little bit more, so that we
Yeah.
could see that the switch was flipping for them.
Well, but I think part of the problem is for her, the switch never had to be flipped. And like he too, the switch never really had to be flipped. Like it was always
It needed flipped for
there.
me.
Well, I know it needed to flip for you, but I'm just saying, like, as a whole, the switches did not need to be flipped. They just needed to connect the magnets.
No, I agree
They
though.
had to
I
finish the circuit.
felt the same way. Like I felt like it needed some switch, like
Right.
some thing to happen.
Yeah, because like the one night they put Gus to bed and still watch a movie, which apparently they were.
That was what they
Oh,
always did. Yeah.
yeah. So
It's like accidentally turn a porn on or something.
Just jump each other's fucking bones, people.
Hmm. But you and I have talked about this, Becky, where so Cowboy and Sully are the book previous to this, and they were an exceptional book, like exceptional. The relationship, the healing, the whole like exceptional, like on all levels. I think if this book had come before their book, we would look at it a little bit differently. Do you agree? I know you
and
agree
I
somewhat with me, but
didn't read their book, so
So,
oh well,
well, that's a good
that doesn't
thing.
help.
Jenny, you read this as a standalone. You had not read this
yep,
series. So tell
correct.
us what you think.
It was okay. Like for me, it was like a mac and cheese read. Like the
Mhm.
drama wasn't. I mean, the stuff with the mom was like resolved pretty quickly, and
I wanted more of a blow up there.
right, like I mean, like Amanda says, she's a trash human. You know that from the beginning, and
Hmm.
yeah, like she doesn't get her justice. Like you
No.
don't see it roll out on the page. So yeah, it wasn't like drama filled. There wasn't like a huge like climb to this
Hmm.
major suspenseful moment. I
I
did
think if
I
this
did
was,
struggle with the
sorry,
awkwardness of them hiding it for so long.
Hmm.
They did
what was
hide
that,
it.
Jenny? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The fact they hid it so long.
Oh, okay.
That annoys me.
Well, and I
Well,
think too, I thought that they were gonna have more of a problem with his parent or with her parents
that
because
that
they
was
let
one of the
they
things that bugged me the
Right.
most.
yeah, because you get the lead up and everybody's talking about this rule that they can't fraternize because they work together, and then it just kind of nothing happens with
Yep.
that. Like
Well,
they
nobody.
hide it and nobody gets mad.
Well, that's the
Nobody
thing. It's like
gets
nobody
like
cared. They're like, well,
yeah,
yeah, we knew what you were doing. But it's like you
yeah,
have this stupid rule, like, and there was no kickback from it. But in the previous book, like, there was a ton.
yeah.
Well, and we didn't say this, there is no third act breakup
Mm.
in this book. And this is a book that's a prime example where it needed a
We
third
could have
act
used something
because
of something,
the
a third act
Something.
something.
the emotions were
Or a
so
larger
easy.
conflict.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there wasn't, if the mom's thing was so resolved so easy, then you
Yeah.
think the outside conflict is going to be the fact that there's this long standing rule
Rule.
that coworkers, people on the ranch can't date. And then we don't even get that as the conflict in the third act. So
Yeah.
it lacks the emotion. It made it too easy. And at
Yeah.
times it was boring.
Yeah,
Not
that's
boring
fair.
like last week's, but
It was like mundane. Like she
Mhm.
like she's washing a dish at one point, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. She like has to rinse the dish off and
Yeah.
put it in the drying rack. Like, I know.
yeah.
Well, but I will say like this, like you go into a Melissa Foster book and like her books they're always a little beefy, but it's not like all of a sudden she has started writing these like beefy books like just out of the blue. Like her books are pretty much the same length now as they were 5 years ago. And so that's one thing. Like she always she has a little bit slower mundaneness to a lot of her books, but it's just like her style. And so I don't the mundane in these doesn't bug me as much because she's always written like this. It's not like all of a sudden I'm going to add 100,000 words and like add like so many pages and be like, hey, I get all those page reads now.
No, it doesn't bother me either. And I mean, I read a lot of her books, but I feel like this one I needed something like a
Electric.
little more, yeah, just a little bit more. Like it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it at
Right.
all.
Same.
I just needed like a little bit more with this one.
Well,
And
and
that's fair. Like I think that is one of the things like going into it and it just you expected more conflict. You expect even like if you expected like Sasha to go after the ex or something like that, to,
Uh,
like get
that would have been,
arrested or something
yeah.
like that. Like because the ex is so terrible and like Sasha loves this little boy like so hard and it's like she wants to like protect him and wanted I wanted like an attack on the ex.
It was like a showdown between
Horrible.
those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Showdown is a better, yes, that's a much better word.
well, and if you look at like the previous book, there was this moment where Cowboy let Sully go, and
Hmm.
he, there's this emotional like, you have to move forward. Who do you pick kind of thing, and there wasn't. We didn't have that emotion this time.
Right.
And you had these dynamic events happening on the ranch with the wedding of
Mhm. Darren Billy.
Darren Billy, and you had Cowboy and Sully's engagement.
Engagement.
I mean, there was potential for some dynamic, and at times I thought
Mhm.
the background stories, those two events, were more dynamic
Mhm.
than the pining and the relationship.
Well, and like if you read like the first two books, like you knew these two were going to end up together, like
Yeah.
just by the way it played out. And I like their story. I wanted more from their story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you guys like loved Cowboy and Sully, but like Dare and Billy are my favorite. And I thought their story was really dynamic too.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like you had both of those stories and then you kind of go to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just different.
Darren Billy's story is a second chance.
No, it's
Yes.
friends to lovers.
Friends
Well,
to-
kind of second chance-ish, but not really. Like they never
Yeah.
dated.
But he was always in love with her, but she dated their other friend
And then
who
the friend died.
Died.
and-
died.
there's a big man hoe and then decides
Yeah,
that they're going to be
which was
together.
amazing. He dances. I love
He
it.
does.
But we didn't have any of those I love it moments in this book.
Wow. Other than but Gus, yeah, Gus was. I think
Right.
Gus was
I feel like
the I
anytime
love it
Gus was
moment.
on the page, I loved
Yeah.
it.
I just missed some dynamicness.
Hmm. Well, and so this was one of those ones where, I mean, she always has a big cast of characters in her books. And like, I feel like there were a couple, and it worked okay in this one because they always showed up in like the opportune moments. Like they were there for the wedding. They were there for like the big things in this book, which I feel like she worked those extra characters in really well this time around. And sometimes like her pages are very crowded.
They are very crowded.
Yeah, I didn't feel like they were overcrowded here because you got, a large portion of the family, which, they're all working together in the same place. And, it all made sense, I thought, in this one.
Yeah. I agree. I think so. And it just, but Ezra, like, he was so wishy-washy about things at times.
Well, and Amber brings up, um, everybody can hear Ollie. I Amber brings up, I think at the work trip, Melissa started down the path of the third act breakup and then decided not to.
Mhm.
And again, this is where the vibes didn't match up and didn't bring.
Yeah.
I expect some emotional work when I read a Melissa Foster book. And this didn't have any emotional work. I mean, even like if you go over to Steel Island, which is the series I'm the most versed in, like in Archer's book, there's a lot of emotional work that has to happen.
Oh, he's my
Yeah.
favorite.
What is it with
I'm
these
sorry.
emotionally damaged men? I mean,
I don't know, but I like it. I love him so much. I'm claiming him on a future episode, and you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking
You
about.
can
Okay.
have Archer
Okay,
because
thanks.
Grant is my favorite over there.
But I'm just
Nobody can
but
have
like
him.
we always have to. But Grant's book,
Oh, he was a hot
but
mess of chaos
we
in
have to
his
do some
mind.
emotional labor, and this book, where was that emotional labor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. That's definitely
It almost
missing, and
felt
she has
too
that a lot.
easy. It was
Well,
almost
see,
too
yeah,
easy.
because I don't read a lot of Melissa Foster books, so for me, it was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any of that.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's a good story, but it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it
Jenny
is.
said, it's mac and cheese, and sometimes you just need the mac and cheese.
Okay, now ask everybody their thumbs up and then we'll get book recs because I forgot to put that in the doc for you.
Well, I was looking, I was like, wait, those don't seem right. But then I was trying to think of them and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, I will put it in the
Um,
doc next week.
Wait, do we have a piece? Okay, so anyway, so as you know, we are changing the way we're rating things. So for these like sips and discuss, we're going to go through and if we give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So Becky, thumbs up or some thumbs down.
I think it's a thumbs up, especially if you want a easy mac and cheese
Mm-hmm.
vibe. There is not a hot Cheeto moment in this book at all. It's, it's almost a thumb sideways, like I'm teetering from up to side. But it was good. And I think it can be read as a standalone.
Mm-hmm. Amanda, how about you?
I'll say thumbs up to it was an easy read. And I think it's, thumbs up just completely for Gus alone. If you just want to read an adorable kid, like
Yeah.
read this book.
Jenny, how about you?
I'd give it a thumbs up. Like I said, I don't read a lot of her books, but yeah, it was good. I would read more.
Well, that was actually going to be my question. Like after reading this book, like would you go back to her?
Yeah, I want Doc's story.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
See, and I just want Birdie. because she is going to be hell on
Chaos.
wheels.
Yeah.
But she's not next. Doc is next.
I
So we
know.
have to wait for Birdie. Okay. And so I give it a thumbs up as well because I enjoy Melissa Foster's book. She's one of those comfort reads. Like you kind of know what you're getting into. Sometimes she breaks you, sometimes she doesn't. But it's steady for me.
So then the next one. If you liked this book, here are books we think you might like also. Do you have a list?
No, I don't have a list. I told you I was trying to think of ones and didn't have a list.
So In a
because I
Jam.
forgot about this part.
Oh, okay. In a Jam by Kate Canterbury has similar low angst, easy entry vibes.
Okay.
Amanda,
And a cute kid.
and a cute kid. Amanda, do you have any?
I don't, not really, unless you just want to read like a, like a ranch, like where they go to have, to get over things, like for a therapy ranch is what I'm trying to say. Like Melissa
Mhm.
Foster has another series, like in her Braden and Montgomery's, like that I would, I would
Mhm.
suggest checking out a couple of books there if you want something with a little more suspense, like Susan Stoker's Refuge series.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that's a good
that's
one.
a therapy ranch as well. It's a little more, there's a
Ooh,
lot
I
more
do have
emotion
one.
there, but
Janie Crouch and Josie Jade, they have a whole like
Yes.
PTSD ranch. It's Resting Warrior Ranch. There are suspense elements to it, but they are exceptionally well-written books.
Okay, so if you liked Mutual Pining, with long mutual pining and friends to lovers vibes, check out Everything for You by Chloe Leese. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Don't Forget Me Tomorrow by A.L. Jackson, except that has a better suspense line. This didn't have that.
Well, and an adorable kid.
The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke and Shipwrecked by Olivia Dade. Those two pine, and they pine hard.
Well, and We're Made of Moments. There's Mutual Pining.
Yeah, I was
and
waiting
Oh.
for Becky to say that.
We're Made
I
of
was like,
Moments by Molly
really?
McLean. Mutual Pining.
So much
Adorable
pining.
child. There's a lot of pining. She is with somebody at the beginning, but he's a douche nozzle, so you don't have to worry about him. He goes away fairly quickly. That's a really good book.
He does. Do you want to read
I'm
the
kind of
outro?
disappointed you forgot it.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I will do the outro as well. Thank you for joining us tonight for another Buzzing About Romance episode. We've delved into the heartwarming pages of Melissa Foster's A Taste of Whiskey, where me, Leah, has led you through a captivating discussion. In our new book club style format, we've sipped and chatted our way through the enchanting details of this tale, exploring themes of single parenthood, small town charm, and the sweetness of friends to lovers romance. You actually wrote that.
I did. And let me tell you, I vomited a lot in my mouth. A lot.
Stay tuned for more literary adventures. Join us tomorrow for Happy Hour with Jackie Lau, and then we are back again on Sunday for our regularly scheduled episodes. So stay fabulous, stay flirty, and keep buzzing about romance. And until next time,
Happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.